welcome to Conquer Your Chaos, Simple Strategies for Healthy Living. My name is Jennifer Shlomovich and I'm a certified coach. And today I have a special guest, Laura Perez, who is an energy healer specializing in Akashic record readings, meditation, yoga, and Reiki. Today we're going to talk about a very relevant topic for 2020, which is how you can protect your energy during stressful times. So Laura, welcome, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with us today.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm so excited to be here and talk about anything and everything energy work, energy healing, Akashic records, Reiki, yoga, meditation, and crystals. It's all that I love, and it's what has been getting me through during these stressful times filled with anxiety and just like uncertainty. So definitely I'm excited to talk about all the tools that we have within us, but also a few tools that we could, grab a hold of to help you on this journey.
Yeah, and you are a great person to go to with a variety of tools. I have come to you before for a couple of Akashic record readings that were very, very helpful. And you've also just been a great wealth of knowledge for crystals and other questions I've had since I've known you this past year. And so, so let's get started. So first, could you tell us a little bit about what the Akashic records are?
Of course. So the Akashic records are a metaphysical library which contains every single detail about your soul, any emotion, any interaction, all the lives you lived here on Earth. There's even records regarding lives that you've lived in other dimensions and other planes and other like as a starseed or as an elemental star being as well. So it's a record of where your soul has been, what lives they've lived, what emotions, interactions, and what your soul has been through. So accessing the Akashic records, you do so with a prayer, and you could do that yourself, or you could go with a reader, and you would give them permission to access your soul, the archive of your soul. And in it, you could ask any questions pertaining to your soul. So you could ask any questions regarding career, relationship advice. You could ask about past lives, because typically in past lives, you've experienced certain traumas or karmas that aren't necessarily bad, but certain things that you went through, you've brought that energy into this life. And so if there's something that you have difficulty healing or getting to the root of, but you don't know what it is, but you know there's something there, the Akashic records could provide perspective or information regarding that specific thing. So the Akashic records are really for anyone, and anyone is able and capable of accessing them. And I love them so much because, again, they provide perspective. They help with limiting beliefs or just fears that you have, just these fears that you don't know why you have them. You could access the records to see why you have them. And so you could work through them in this life and release them. So yes, that's why I love the Akashic records. And it's one of the main energy healing tools that I work with. Aside from the Akashic records, I also, for example, integrate the Akashic records with Reiki. And Reiki is this universal life force energy that we all have within us. And in order for you to practice Reiki, you have to get an attunement. And attunement means that you're basically opening up the energy within yourself to be able to access it with just a mantra or just a visualization or just by saying Reiki on. You're able to feel the energy of the Reiki run through your body, and you feel it in your hands. So I integrate Reiki with the Akashic records because sometimes I feel when I access the Akashic records, and one of the questions is, who's giving you that information? It's your guides. And so you have your highest self as a guide. You have loved ones, ancestors, angels, elementals, spirit animals, just a lot. You have a huge array of guides that are following you in this life. And so they're the ones that answer your questions. So when I work with people and there's, for example, somebody has a trouble speaking their truth, so I feel like this knot in the throat, their guides tell me, this is where you could send Reiki. So I send Reiki during the Akashic record reading. I send Reiki to those areas of the body that have stuck energy, have dense energy. So Reiki allows for me to send that energy to you to help you clear that from your energy. I also do Akashic records with crystals. And also the crystals help align your chakras or help you unblock them if you feel some sort of blockage within your chakras, and we'll talk more about that. I also do the Akashic records and focus past lives on past lives work. Again, if there's a past life that you've had that something happened in which you brought in that guilt to this life, and again, you don't know why you have that guilt. Again, it had to do with a past life, and it kind of correlates with something that you're trying to work on, but something's preventing you to get to where you need to get to. And again, it goes back to a past life. So there's an Akashic record reading that I focus on past lives work. And I also love yoga. So I'm a Strala yoga guide. So I also use the Akashic records with yoga. So I do a yoga session. And in Savasana, when people are just relaxing, I open up the Akashic records to provide messages to that person that I'm working with at that time. And they're able to also ask questions during that time where I have the Akashic records open. So I really love the Akashic records so much. And again, I integrated different other healing modalities with it. But I feel like they're so vast and so infinite that you could receive any type of information that you need pertaining, again, to your life, your business, your career, relationships, and just how you would like to live your life. You get all that insight from working with the Akashic records. So that's what I love to do. And I actually started, and I got to the Akashic records through a podcast. I learned through them or for them on a podcast. And I started looking more into them and read a book and got training and accessed the records for myself for a little over a year before I started reading other people. And it's been a journey because before becoming an energy healer and an energy worker, light worker, I had a career. I worked in education, and I started doing the transition from working in education to practicing yoga and teaching yoga. And from there, learning other healing modalities that were interesting to me, like Reiki and the Akashic records, and just pursuing my interest for crystals and learning more about them and integrating that all together. So another tip that I would like to say is that if you have an interest that you don't know where it comes from, but all of a sudden you have an interest in learning something, go for it, because it's there for a reason. That interest is there for a reason for you to pursue it, because it's like a puzzle. That piece is going to fit somewhere down your journey into what you're doing in this life. And for me, it was crystals. I had no idea why I was so interested about learning about crystals. And now I know that, they're used for Reiki, and they're also used for Akashic records. So now I'm able to really integrate all that learning that I did, all the books that I read, everything that I've learned about the Akashic records. I'm able to utilize it now again with the work that I do with the Akashic records. So I'm really excited about that.
That is a lot of great stuff right there. And one of my favorite sayings I've heard before in another podcast is follow your curiosity. And there's a lot of truth to that, because I can attest from my own experiences. It's like, I'm kind of drawn to this, I'm kind of drawn to that. And it may not make sense in the moment. And sometimes the things that you're following might be completely opposite things, but then later on you find a way of how they all come together in your life.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's really fascinating. And yeah, all of those things are very powerful tools with our energy. As a coach, I focus on energy too, but in a different way. I help clients with the thoughts, because the thoughts we have create the energy that we have. If we have really negative thoughts, then it's going to impact how we feel. If we have more positive thoughts, it's going to impact, again, how we feel and how active we want to be with certain things. And so our thoughts are very powerful, and they have an impact on our energy. The food we eat, that can impact our energy. But then there's this other part too that I've stumbled across all this about a year and a half ago. And crystals and meditation, and then the Akashic record, all these things are so powerful, and they help take that personal development work to like a whole other level. Because like you were saying before, there's traumas and things that you can have, and going to therapy, getting coaching, having all those things, and you think you've had it all worked out, and then there's still something there. And I know from my own personal experience working with you that going into the Akashic records and doing that, it creates a whole different awareness that can take that healing to a whole different direction.
For sure, for sure. And again, the Akashic records are so powerful, and again, anybody who could access them, because again, everybody has a soul, so you have access to your own records, so you could gain knowledge, so you could continue on with healing these traumas or these karmas or these blockages or fears that you've brought up from other lives, because it's all energy, so it's like embedded within you, so you bring it in. And so during your life you have lessons that bring it up so you could deal with it. But if it doesn't make sense for you and you can't, for example, figure out why you have fear of this or a fear of speaking, is because there's maybe one or multiple lives where you were outcasted for speaking, so that's why now you feel this sense of fear of like using your voice and speaking up. So it's really just digging deep and like going into your records to ask these questions, but also know that when you go into the Akashic records, your guides will only provide with you with information that you need to know in this point in time. There's so much information available to you, but your guides guide you, so they only provide you the information that you need in this moment to help you with your evolution, your expansion, and your growth.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a really powerful way to learn to connect with your intuition more and to just trust yourself more, because sometimes there's things we want to do that may not make sense to the other people in our lives, but there's something inside of us saying, do this. And
Exactly.
and this can be very helpful work in helping you connect to that and trusting yourself to go in the direction that feels right for you instead of everyone else.
Correct. Yeah. And
Awesome.
it's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's really great stuff. And so what are some, we talked a little bit about grounding before we did this interview. Can you talk a little bit about what grounding is and share with us some exercises that can help?
Yes, of course. So grounding, especially now, or I believe grounding is very, very important, but I feel like now it's so needed. And I know the weather's changing, so it's going to be hard for people to actually ground. And ground means is going outside barefoot and just walking on grass, walking on dirt. And if you can, it's just like digging your feet really in the dirt, and just covering your feet with sand or dirt, whatever it is, if you're able to do that. If you can't, and it's getting colder now, it's placing your hands on a tree and just breathing deep, inhaling and exhaling. If there's a lot of people that live in a city, they can't really do that. Another way to ground is by visualizing that you're digging your feet in dirt and just seeing yourself in a place in nature that you love, be it near a beach or a forest or near a lake, whatever, just as long as you're surrounded by nature, and just visualizing yourself barefoot and just like walking barefoot on the dirt, on the moss, on the grass, on the sand. That is also very helpful. What also helps a lot is at the end of a long work day or a long stressful day, just lighting up a candle and lighting it and just sitting as far away as you can from it, just so you could inhale and exhale. And when you inhale and you exhale, you do so in a very deep way that you allow the energy to move. Any stuck energy, any dense energy, any energy that was stuck throughout the day, it moves with your inhales and your exhales. And you can even say a mantra like saying, universe, take anything that is no longer of service for me, or universe, anything that is holding me down or blocking me, just take it away. I don't want it, just take it. And you could say universe or Mother Earth, source, whatever you feel comfortable with, just using a word like that helps you just release. And when you exhale, it's really using the swoosh, like, and that allows you to push out that energy. So those are really great tips that I still use myself. Is the candle right now is I sit at the end of the day, I turned off all the light, just turn on a candle, and I just stare at it and I just release and I just let everything go. And I feel grounding as well, and that I'm doing a lot of grounding work during that moment, because I feel a lot of things are just melting away. You could also use crystals, and I love crystals, and there's 2 crystals that I recommend that help with grounding, and one of them is black tourmaline, and it's looks like this. It is a raw form, and the black tourmaline absorbs negative energy, and without compromising your own energy. So This is a black tourmaline in raw form or as a tumble stone, and it's really very, very small. And I love the tumbled stones because you could take them with you, put them in your pocket, in your bra or your purse, and just it helps you with like taking that negative energy away, so it doesn't like stick onto you. So it basically, this basically takes all that energy away from you. So that helps for grounding. The other one that helps for grounding is a smoky quartz. So it looks like this. It's a smoky quartz point, and it's also like a raw. And this one also brings calmness, and it relieves you from stress and anxiety. So smoky quartz also is a protective stone as well, just like the black tourmaline. And this is how it looks as a tumble stone. So again, I love to get raw stones and tumble stones because the tumble ones I could take with me, and I don't have to worry about them breaking or chipping just because they're already polished. And so you can sleep with them or take them on the go wherever you go. So that's why I love the small little tumble stones. But again, um, the breath also helps with grounding and relieving stress and anxiety. And another breath work that I do is the 4-7-8 technique. And this technique helps you relieve stress and just helps you also sleep if you have difficulty sleeping. The 4-7-8 is very, very easy to do. You basically inhale for 4 counts. And when you inhale, it's like deep, long inhales. So you inhale for 4 and you hold for 7. And you just count 7. And then you exhale for 8 seconds. And when you exhale, you exhale like in a swoosh sound. So you go in 7. So and you only do that 4 times, and you do that once a day because it's that powerful. So only 4 times. So if you want to try it, we could do it together.
Okay.
So
I just tried it a little bit, and I could, when you just did it, and I felt a little bit of a calming sense. And I know I've heard breath work is very powerful to do, and I've tried it here and there, but it was like just in that one. So I can only imagine doing it 4 times.
4 times. And especially if you could do it when you feel like overwhelmed during the day, just do it. And it's very like discreet to do if you're like in public and you just like don't want to like, do anything else that's going to, catch your attention or anything like that. Just this breath work really helps. So again, just you inhale for 4, you hold for 7, and you exhale for 8, and you do that 4 times. And it's lovely to even do it before bedtime because it really, really helps you just calm, feel at peace, at ease, and just like fall asleep. So I love this 4-7-8 technique. And I'll give you a link to this article and who the person that created this 4-7-8 technique, and it gives you more information about it. And he even gives you the steps as to how to do it. So I'll give you that link so you could post it so people could click on it and get more information on that.
Yeah, thank you.
For sure. And the other thing that I do for grounding is I listen to the frequency of 432, and this frequency is very calming, and it's very it's very at ease. The sounds and the frequency that they use for this type of frequency, it really helps you come back to your heart, and it really opens up your heart, and it really helps you to be relaxed. So there's a few playlists that I listen to on YouTube, and there's one that helps you sleep. There's one that you just play in the background when you're working, or there's another one that helps you while you're cleaning. It helps also clean the space and clear the space of like dense energy. And all these help you ground as well, as you're like listening to it in the background. Even when you're working, just listening to it in the background really helps you relieve the stress and the anxiety that you're feeling in that moment, without even like knowing it, because these frequencies really just help you melt all that away. And it really helps you throughout the day. It really helps you at night to sleep as well. So I listen to the frequency 432. So that's another tip that I have.
That sounds incredible, especially like 2020 has been an insanely stressful year for everyone on so many levels. We're recording this the day before election day. So I'm, this will be airing next week. So the following week after the election. So it's just been a very stressful time. So just having all these ways to help stay calm and especially bedtime, like I've had a hard time sleeping. just with just all kinds of things going on in my life. So I'm a very restless sleeper. So one of the things I've been working on is trying to have some kind of a bedtime routine. And I definitely want to check this out and try the breath work. And these frequencies sound very interesting because working can be stressful, like all these different things at home, and just something that can take the edge off of that stress, especially now with just everything everyone's experiencing with what's going on. It sounds like it can be very helpful.
For sure. And yeah, these are the tools that I talk about when I say everything that you need is within you, but there's certain tools that you could use that could help you with that healing and with releasing stress. And one is crystals and the other one is just listening to these frequencies. So 432, again, it's very harmonizing and very healing. So I recommend 4 playlists, and I'll also provide you the links to them. And they're like between 4 and 9 hours long. So you just play it on YouTube and just in the background, and it's this beautiful sound that really helps you melt in the moment. And also, now that we're talking about sleep, there's also 3 crystals that I recommend to people that have a difficulty sleeping or have trouble just falling asleep. And one of them is the moonstone. And so the moonstone helps you reduce any tension and really helps you sleep. So this is what it looks like. And I also recommend the amethyst. And the amethyst helps you promote sleep and just helps you like have really nice dreams and like takes care of the nightmares. So it really helps you like really have a very grounding, deep sleep. And the howlite helps you with anyone who has insomnia or difficulty sleeping. And again, I love these crystals because again, they're the tumble stones. So you can put them in your pillow or right next to, if you don't want them in your pillow, you can put them right next to you in the nightstand. And the energy of these crystals will really help you with your sleep and to reduce the anxiety and just help you have a restful sleep. And many people ask me, how do I go about, making sure that this crystal will work for me? Well, it's all about intention, and also like going back within yourself and asking yourself when you go into a crystal shop, which crystal are you drawn to? And just go for it and just grab it, see how it feels with you, because sometimes when you pick up a crystal, you'll know if it feels good or not. It's like energy, so you'll know immediately. But once you grab a hold of a crystal and you take it with you, and you know there's a crystal that you want, and you take it with you, the way to clean it's really easy. The other crystal that I also say, to people to have is a selenite, because a selenite is liquid light. It also protects you and grounds you, but it also is used to clear other crystals. So you could even have a small selenite and just put the crystals on top of it at night.
Oh,
and
I didn't know that you could clean with the selenite, because I have a selenite and I didn't know you can actually use it to purify the other crystals.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it cleans. So if you have a flat selenite, just place your crystals. Place your crystals on it, and it'll clean them. That's one way to clean them. Another way is putting them out when there's a full moon, putting them out in the windowsill, so it could like cleanse, the moon will cleanse them. Or you could even do it yourself just by placing the crystal on your hand and just putting the other hand on top of it and just like intentionally saying, I'm wiping it from any unwanted energy. And then just having an intention and say, this crystal is for this. So for example, this crystal will provide protection, release any fears, help me sleep, and just putting that intention there. And that's what it's for. So it's like you're programming the crystal to help you with what it is that you need assistance with. And that's why I love the crystals, because they're energy and they're there to assist you. So that's why I love crystals as well as one of the outside tools that you could reach out to help you with your internal work and coming back within yourself and keeping yourself calm and at peace during these times.
That's really, I know a little bit about crystals, and it's something I wanted to learn more about. Like I do have an amethyst, and I do have selenite, and I do have some other ones. I didn't know that amethyst can help with sleep. So that's really good to know. That's something I think I might try to see how that helps. So yeah, that's really great. And these are all affordable ways to just help. Some of it doesn't cost anything, and then crystals, you can get them at various price ranges. But Yeah, it's all very, and they're very soothing to touch too. Like the very
For
smooth
sure.
texture of the crystals can be very relaxing. I sometimes have done meditation while holding my selenite or
Hmm.
another raw crystal, and just that it can really help grant with the grounding for me
For sure.
with that. Can you talk a little bit more about chakras, what they are, and how crystals can help with balancing our chakras?
Of course. So I love the chakras because the chakras are energy centers, energy points that we have along our spine. And they're called chakras because they are like discs, they're like wheels. So when they're open, there's a flow to them. So they flow really nicely. So the way that I imagine is like there's a pool of water. And if they're open, that pool of water, like it overflows to the next chakra, so it increases
Hmm.
well and it flows to the next one. But if there's a blockage, there's no flow going from one chakra to the next. So sometimes when a chakra is blocked, for example, let's say your throat chakra is blocked and you feel like this tightness and you feel like you can't use your voice or you can't like speak your truth, your throat chakra might be blocked. So your chakras all pertain to certain things that we'll talk about in just a minute, but again, they're energy centers and they have to do a lot with also your health. So
Mm-hmm.
if something is blocked again, it could cause health issues. So it's very important to know that they're there. They're there to help you. They're there to keep you in alignment. If you feel out of alignment, it's always a nice way to reach out to like a Reiki specialist or somebody that does energy work to help you see where this misalignment is located, because that could help you with um,
Mm-hmm.
feeling better and feeling in alignment. And sometimes these healing modalities, it's not like a one-time thing and you're going to be okay. Sometimes it takes a lot of intention and a few times where you have to return to continue with working with that chakra. But it has to do with a lot of internal work. So so we'll start off with the crown chakra, and the crown chakra is at the top of your head, and the crown chakra deals with emotion. And
Mm-hmm.
again, it's up here. So it's up here. So with this, the crown chakra, the crystal that I like to use for, and there's a few of them, but the main one is a clear quartz. So this is what the clear quartz looks in raw form, and this is what it looks like as a tumble stone. So again, when you're working with trying to figure, the emotions or anything that triggers you, it's always a good idea to have a clear quartz, as it'll help you with releasing certain emotions, or when you feel blocked, that will help you out a lot. The next one is the third eye chakra, and so the third
Mm-hmm.
eye is right here between your eyebrows, and this one deals with inner vision, as how you see yourself, how you perceive the world, and also with intuition. So the crystal is amethyst. So again, this is what it looks like, is as a raw form or as a tumble stone. And again, when you feel again you need to work with your intuition or you need help with trusting yourself, the amethyst is a really good crystal to turn to when you're working with your intuition in the third eye. The next chakra is the throat chakra. So it's right here. And the third chakra, again, it's speaking one's truth and just speaking your truth and not feeling like you need to like hold back. It's being able to really communicate and really feel comfortable in speaking what it is that you want to say. And the crystal for this chakra is the amazonite. So this is what it looks like in raw form or in tumblestone. So again, this one helps a lot when you have like a knot in your throat and you just know that it's there and you don't know how to
Mm-hmm.
unblock. It's good to work with an amazonite. Even when you're like lying down or in meditation, and if you can't, just placing that crystal on your throat will help alleviate some of that tension that you have there. The next one is the heart chakra. So the heart chakra is right here between your breastbone. And this one deals with self-love and just having compassion for yourself and others. So the rose quartz in raw form, that's what it looks like, or as a tumble stone. So again, when you're feeling when you have one of those days where you're just having difficulty with like seeing yourself as this beautiful person, because I believe everybody's beautiful and everybody's kind, but sometimes you have those days where you just don't like yourself. It's good to have, just hold on to to a rose quartz. Just hold it, meditate with it, take a bath with it. You can even put it in the bath.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's good to know.
Yeah, there's some crystals that you could put in water, and others that you can't. But especially if you have a tumbled stone, it's totally fine to put it in water because it's already been polished. So always look it up, but more than likely you could put it in water, not selenite. Selenite will dissolve in water. So
wow.
Yeah, so other stones you can, but definitely selenite is a no. Do not put it in water. So yes, definitely the rose quartz is amazing. The next one is the solar plexus chakra. So it's just right up below your heart chakra, and this one has to do with self-confidence and just like believing in yourself and standing in your own power and just like moving forward with confidence. And one of the crystals that is used for the solar plexus chakra is a tiger's eye. So this is what it looks like as a raw form or as a tumble stone. And again, I love using this one when it has to do with, feeling confident. So it's really great to have this crystal with you if, you're at work and you have to do a presentation, or you're going to go to a workshop and that you're probably going to have to introduce yourself. It's nice to have a, tiger's eye with you to help you with that stress and the anxiety of like having to speak up and like being confident in your own voice. The next one is a sacral chakra, and this one is just above the pubic bone, and it deals with passion, creativity, sexuality. And the stone is carnelian, so this is how it looks like in raw form or as a tumble stone. And carnelian also is a very powerful stone, in which that if you have a carnelian and you have tons of other crystals, if you have a carnelian within those crystals, it also keeps them clean. It recharges them and keeps them clean. So I love carnelian for that as well. And the last chakra is the root chakra, and this one is at the base of your spine. And this one deals with feeling safe and feeling grounded and having stability. So this is what the smoky quartz looks like in raw form, or as a point, or as a tumbled stone. And again, as previously mentioned, smoky quartz helps with protection and grounding. So again, that's why it's related to the root chakra, just like rooting and grounding. And so that's why we have the smoky quartz as well. So what I love about all these crystals is that not only could you use them for your chakras, but you could also use them for other things, for protection, to release stress, for self-love, to feel more confident, to use your voice, to fall asleep. So crystals have more than one use. And again, it's all about the intention that you have with them, what you need them for, but they're very great reminders to have with you, because you have them there, so you know why you have them, why you bought them. And so you could look at them and you know that they're there as support to help you take some of that energy, that dense energy, that energy that might feel very heavy. Those crystals are there to absorb that and take it away from you. So it's really nice to cleanse your crystals whenever you feel like it's time to cleanse them. So you could open them up to, absorbing more energy that you need to like let go of. So that's why I love the crystals.
Wow, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing all of that. I really love the analogy that you shared about how like the water flowing from each chakra, and then if there's a blockage, which this poster I have behind me is of the chakra.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So if anyone's wondering like the circles and what they look, the symbols for them, it's right behind me.
Yeah.
But I've had theta healing done on me a couple times. The last time was maybe I think 2 years ago. But as I was doing a lot of work on trauma and working on my own healing, I was really blocked in ways, and I couldn't quite figure out what was going on. And then I have a friend who does theta healing, and that really did help. There really is a lot to energy work and energy healing, and it's important, yes, to do therapy and coaching and work on the mental side of things. But this is a very important process. This is very important stuff to incorporate with that, because it can help balance that energy and just help you connect with yourself so much better. Because as we change our mindsets and we change who we are, that's going to trigger anxiety, because and it's going to help us feel ungrounded because we're not who we used to be, and we want to be somebody different. So when you're challenging your old self and trying to become a new version of yourself, these tools can be very helpful and helping you stay calm through all of that.
For sure. Yeah. And that's why I'm so drawn to the healing modalities that I work with, because they all focus on returning to yourself and coming back to within the light within you, which is your soul, your highest self, your inner child. And it's just coming back to yourself, because when you are in that moment in your life, when you want to make some changes, but you start looking outwardly to, start asking other people for their opinion, or looking for others, maybe I should do it this way, you get more confused, and you get more anxiety and stress, because you're not doing it like they are, or you're not where they're at. So this is a moment where you come back to yourself. And that's why I love all these tools: Akashic records, reiki, breath work, crystals, visualizations, meditations, so you come back to yourself. Because when you come back to yourself, you're actually allowing yourself to see more clearly, because you're coming back from all feeling overstretched, or from going to different directions and not knowing where to turn or where to look. Just coming back to yourself, you're coming back to that light that is in you, that you could shine. And by shining, you could see clearly what it is that you need to do for you, what next steps you need to take, and what it is you're trying to change, it be a career or relationships, whatever it is. And that's why boundaries are so important, because when you set up boundaries, you're protecting your own energy, and you're asking yourself, your intuition, your gut, your heart, you're asking yourself, do I want to do this? Yes or no? If it's a solid yes, go for it. If you're maybe, that's a no, because you don't want to, but you're kind of forcing yourself to do it when you don't want to do it. So at the end of the day, you're going to feel like resentful towards yourself, because you didn't want to do something, but you still went ahead and did it. So that's why boundaries are very important, and it's okay to have boundaries. And you're sure some people are going to get upset because you have boundaries, but at the end of the day, they're going to realize what it is that you're doing, and they're going to respect them, and they're going to honor you for having those boundaries, because you're taking care of yourself. So it's going back to yourself, and asking yourself what it is that you want to do for you. Not Don't take it as, oh well, if this is expected of me, or well, maybe I should do this because everybody else has done it, so this is what I should be doing too. No, take your power back and ask yourself, what it is that you want to do for you, because at the end of the day, it's your life, and you choose how you want to live it. So you have that power to decide with the choices that you make, who you let in your life, what changes you make. And in doing so, that's the you're paving your own way. So you always have free will to decide how you want to live your life. So I think boundaries are super important. And again, that really helps you, again, come back to yourself, but also it protects your energy as well. It protects you, and it helps you to be more clear, more in line. And again, it goes back to your chakras, because when you have those boundaries, you're like protecting those chakras, and those chakras that are in alignment, which when you're in alignment, you feel more happy, more centered, more at peace, more present. And you make decisions based off of feeling in alignment. And when you make those decisions, everything feels so much better, and you feel so much happier, because you're actually doing what you want to do for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, boundaries can feel hard to set in the beginning, especially. It's like building a muscle. This is what I tell clients all the time. It's like when you're learning to do like running or learning to do a specific sport, you're going to be shaky at it at first. But as you start building those muscles doing it, it starts to get easier. And something I heard on a podcast a while back that I also share with clients is when you feel challenged about setting a boundary with somebody, check in with your intentions. So usually, like when we want to say no to somebody or set a boundary with someone, a lot of times we might feel guilty, right, for saying no to somebody, or some type of shame because you're not caving into what somebody else wants. So
Exactly.
always check in with your intentions. Are you feeling guilty because you're doing something morally wrong? Or are you feeling guilty because of what someone else is going to think? And once you get clarity on, oh, I'm feeling guilty because of what this person's going to think. Once you become conscious of that, then it gets a little, then it's like, and the next step is to ask yourself, well, what are my intentions here? What is my intention? Well, my intention is to say no to this because, and then whatever it is that you need to do to take care of yourself. So that's a trick that I share with a lot of clients is, ask yourself, are you feeling guilty about setting this boundary because you're doing something morally wrong? And the majority of the time it's not doing something morally wrong. It's
Yeah.
because, and then it's just then, and then intention, and like what you were saying about intentions are so important about just everything. And then I also just want to comment about, that coming back to yourself. I know for myself, when the more I've become connected to who I am and connecting to my intuition and understanding who I am and doing this type of energy work, it's really helped me connect to myself, because when you're able to connect to yourself and rely on yourself instead of relying on the approval of other people,
Mhm.
it's a very powerful place to be. You're able to start, and it's not saying, you don't need to share things with people or get opinions of other people or get input from other people, but you don't want to rely solely on what other people say
Correct.
just to make your own decisions,
Mhm.
because it's so important to do what feels in alignment to yourself instead of what's right for other people.
That's right. And also it would feel very liberating to make decisions based on what it is that you want to do and not having to
Mm-hmm.
base a decision off of like, what they will say, or if I do this or that or the other. It's just coming back to yourself. And another tool that
Absolutely.
I love to use when it comes to just like taking care of yourself and coming back to yourself is yoga. And the
Mm-hmm.
the, the style of yoga that I studied and trained in is called Strala Yoga. So Strala Yoga is all about coming back to yourself and
Mm-hmm.
moving how it feels good for you. So Strala
Mm.
Yoga is not about yoga poses or being flexible. It's about taking a pause and just doing things in simplicity and just listening to your body and moving within the means of your own body, because every body is different. So whenever you go to a yoga class, sometimes you feel intimidated because you're not, stretching as far as that person, you're not as flexible as that person, you're not bending like that person, but that's fine, because just like again with everybody's individual, everybody's unique, and you made the
Mm-hmm.
decisions based on what it is that you want. That's the same thing with yoga. It's your own body, so you do things in a certain way that feels good for you, and that's what Strala is all about. Is being, moving, and healing within that moment that helps you release stress and connect back to yourself. So that's one of the reasons why I love Strala Yoga, is because again, it's this sense of grounding and coming back to your intuition and listening to what it is that your body wants to do in that moment.
That sounds really great, because I think yoga can be very intimidating. Like, I enjoy yoga, but it can be intimidating for
Mm-hmm.
me. Like, I've done some beginners yoga classes a couple of years ago, and even those were a little intimidating for me at times.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think that's really great to know that there is a form of yoga out there that can help you just feel good, that focuses on other ways of doing that. And that sounds a lot less intimidating than
for
some other
sure.
forms of yoga.
For sure. And what I love about it is the way I explain Strala is like moving meditation, because as you're moving,
Mm-hmm.
we're focusing a lot on our breath and we're noticing how our body feels. If there's something within a certain motion that your body doesn't necessarily like, notice it and like move out of it in a way that feels nice for you. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but not focusing on like, oh well, I have to do it straight because that's how like this other person's doing it. No, Strala is more about coming back to yourself and you're in your space, so you do it however feels good for you. So again, that's why I love this tool of yoga, Strala Yoga, using it with the other healing modalities that I focus on, because again, it's all coming back to yourself. And that's what my work is based on, is coming back within yourself and asking
Mm-hmm.
yourself what it is that you want or need to be stressless and, you know, deal with anxiety or fear or uncertainty, it's very important to
Yeah.
come back to yourself, because the more you look out externally for answers or wanting to know what's going to happen, the more you get stressed because you don't get answers,
Mhm.
and you're going to find everything inside of you. So that's why I love the work that I do, because it's all about going back within yourself, because inside is where you'll find all the answers.
Absolutely. And that's a big part of my work too as a coach, is doing that internal, because our internal world impacts our external world. So if we're feeling like a mess inside and we're stressed and anxious and we have all these things happening, it's going to impact how everything else is going on in our lives. So when we focus internally first and we take care of ourselves, and that's why self-care is so important,
Very.
because if you don't take care of yourself, you're giving from an empty cup. When our cell phones are about to die, we have no problem, you know, charging them up and getting them ready to use again. And we're the same way, because the phones use energy and we use energy. And so we won't set that time to plug ourselves in and recharge.
Exactly.
Things start to fall apart.
Yeah, totally agree with that for sure.
Awesome. This is really great stuff. Before we wrap up, I remember you mentioned to me when we were talking the other day about some self Reiki that you can do on yourself.
Yes. So in order for, you know, for anybody to do Reiki on other people, you actually have to get an attunement. So
Mm-hmm.
I think there's 4 levels. So the Reiki level 1 is basically so you could know more about it, the history of the Reiki. Then there's different lineages of Reiki. The one that I trained in is it's Usui Reiki. So in this level 1 Reiki, they teach you how to open up the energy of Reiki and feel it, and you get attuned to do this. So when I call upon the Reiki energy, I basically say Reiki on, and the energy starts flowing. And I also
Mm-hmm.
have Reiki level 2, and Reiki level 2 allows me to be a practitioner and send Reiki via a distance Reiki, past, present, and future. And also just via Zoom, or if I'm here and somebody's in the West Coast, I could send Reiki at a certain specific time and the Reiki will go. But you could also do Reiki on yourself without having an attunement. And it just, again,
Mm-hmm.
just to help you connect with yourself and just to feel the Reiki energy. And the way the Reiki energy feels is if you put your hands together in front of you in prayer position and you start rubbing your hands together and feeling like that warm feeling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So then when you pull them back, your hands, and you kind of put them back toward, you kind of feel like that push and pull between your
Oh,
hands.
yeah. Yeah,
That's
I can feel
that's
that.
that's how Reiki feels whenever
Ah.
you open up the Reiki channel. So what I do, especially in meditation, when I'm grounding at night, and turn on the candle and I stare at the candle and I've inhaled and then exhaled, I give Reiki to myself, especially to my eyes, because I work a lot in front of a computer. So I do that. I rub my hands together, and then once they're nice and warm, I put the palms of my hands over my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So you're allowing your eyes to feel restful. And if you know you have red eyes due to like being on the screen so much, it really helps the redness to go away. So that really helps as well with sleep, because you're like giving yourself that nice Reiki healing sensation by allowing
Mm-hmm.
your stressful eyes to feel at ease. So I love that. So but yeah, but if anybody would love to work more with Reiki, I definitely, you know, suggest people look into Reiki level 1,
Mm-hmm.
because you'll get a lot out of it. The training that you get, the everything that you learn, and how really to channel that energy. And again, everybody has this um, life force energy, and anybody has, again, like the Akashic records, anybody's able to access it and just feel it. So, and that's what I, you know, let people know, to feel that Reiki energy while meditating is, you know, doing that with their hands.
That's really great to know, especially everybody's working a lot from home, and just between working from home and socializing from everything's on our computers now.
For
So
sure.
that's good to know that that's something that you can do to help your eyes just kind of recover from all of that screen time.
Oh yeah, and you could do that during the day, especially
Mhm.
when you're about to go to bed. It really helps your eyes to, get a rest and just like release all that strain from your eyes. It really, really does help, and your eyes will get a little. The redness will go away a little bit because you're providing that nice warmth to your eyes.
Great. Well, thank you so much. We're almost out of time. I've really enjoyed our conversation. You've shared a lot of great tips, tools, and techniques. And I highly recommend anyone watching to go check out Laura's website. I'm going to leave it in the bottom of the show notes. And before we go, do you have any book recommendations or podcasts or anything that you feel would be helpful? I mean, you already shared a lot of helpful things that we'll also include, but is there anything else that you think would be helpful for
Of
our
course.
listeners?
Yeah, so there's two books that I uh, loved a lot because they're full of tips. If we talk today about some tips, you'll get more tips from these two books. And I wrote it down here. So the first one is called Burning Bright: Rituals,
Mm-hmm.
Reiki, and Self-Care to Heal Burnout, Anxiety, and Stress by Kelsey J.
Ooh.
Patel. And that book is infused with Reiki, and it comes with so much information, facts about stress and anxiety, and what tools that you could work from at home that could help you
Mm-hmm.
release the stress and anxiety. So that one is jam packed with tools, journal prompts, mantras, and just these tools that help you take care of yourself. The other book is called I Am Diosa, and it's a journey to healing deep, loving yourself, and coming back home to soul by Christine Gutierrez. And this book is about um, just showing compassion to yourself and coming back to yourself. And she also has mantras, meditations, and journal prompts as well that you
Mm-hmm.
could work through. And it basically gives you the tools to honor yourself and to come back to yourself and honor who it is that you are within yourself. So I love that book as well. Podcast wise, I would recommend, if you're interested in energy work, intuition, just coming back to yourself, would be the podcast by Natalie Miles, I Am Intuitive. The podcast by Ashley Wood, The Line Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and let's see which other one. If you're like into intuitive work or just being an entrepreneur, Woken Wired by Ksenia Abdulova is another great one because she
Oh,
interviews
great.
amazing people that are intuitives or are spiritual healers or workers, light workers, and they talk about intuition and business. So I love that podcast as well because you get a lot of information from them regarding how to run a business, but also how to take care of yourself and your energy.
They all sound great. I listened to the Lime podcast, but the other ones I haven't. So I definitely want to check those out because,
Okay.
especially the last one you just mentioned, because working a full-time job and then operating a business and just everything else, I definitely could use some more information on just how to like bring all of that
Oh, for sure.
together and
Yeah.
bring
Yeah.
balance to all of that.
Yeah. Woken Wired is the podcast. That's the one where I learned a lot of tools to like run my business
Mm-hmm.
because of the people that she interviews and the work that she does. And it's just the podcast that I go to when it comes to being a spiritual entrepreneur. So definitely recommend that one. And Natalie Miles talks a lot about energy and intuition and just like connecting to yourself and just listening to your intuition. And she also has a book out. I can't recall the name, but it's her first book and it came out a few weeks ago. I think it's called I Am Intuitive and by
Oh,
Natalie
okay.
Miles. And I haven't read it yet, but I've heard great things about it. And it's just about connecting to your intuition and listening to yourself and how to harness your intuition or work on it so it could be stronger. So that book it's another one that I would recommend, even though I haven't read it, but I've heard a lot of good things about it.
Great. Well, thanks again, Laura, for taking some time out and talking about the work that you do and sharing
Thank
all
you.
these tips. And I'll share your information below. And I would love to have you on another time. We can talk about something else related to energy.
Of
But
course.
it
And
was great.
yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me and for having the space. And I will also love to provide you with those links to the frequency music that I listen to,
Oh, yes. That'd be
more
great.
information about the chakras. So any of your viewers or listeners could definitely, learn more about them in depth. Because again, all of this is so helpful today when there's so much stress and a lot of people are working from home. So it'll be nice to have that as a background music to help you with your stress and
Absolutely.
anxiety, for sure.
Yeah, I definitely want to try that out myself.
Yes, for sure. I definitely recommend it.
All right. Well, thanks again, Laura. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
stopping by.
Thank you for
All right.
having me.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.